Hey guys, this is Fan Confessions, the channel of two friends, two fans, and the K-Wave. Hi, I'm Lisa.
I'm Stephanie.
And welcome to the place where we share our love of all things K-pop, K-drama, and our experience as fans.
We are back again to talk about another episode of Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. So excited. Well, I was so excited last time, and then I'm even more excited to continue talking about this because, I don't know, this was just really refreshing and enjoyable so far.
Yeah, there have been, we came out of episode 1 with a really good feeling, and we had a few chuckles, and we had some really relatable moments.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really exciting to see how Heijin embarks on her new life here in this small town by the sea. So it was just like, how are things gonna go? What's gonna happen next?
Well, exactly. You're just like we're left with, it's like it was cut at actually a good spot. I don't know if you find sometimes where they cut it like can be really annoying or whatever, but this felt naturally right. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. A good spot to pause.
No awkward scene of two cast members staring at each other longingly at different angles for 10 minutes.
Longingly or exactly, or like those like misunderstanding cliffhangers.
Yeah, right. It like seems like a way bigger problem than the next episode.
Exactly.
Like, oh, actually not a
just
problem.
because there's somebody saw something that they're misinterpreting.
Yes,
so it was 100%. we left at a really nice spot last episode.
And I will say bravo Netflix and TVN. There's no I think that's a pet peeve of mine is the ominous or the crazy amount of recapping of
thank you
and the scenes that happened already. And it's like, if you're watching regularly, that little skip ability is amazing, but then also I find they don't do it to the nth degree on these Netflix ones. So
yeah, exactly. We are grateful for the lack of the giant recap. Thank you.
Exactly. So episode 2.
Dun, dun,
right.
Dun.
I thought it opened on a very somber note.
I know,
honest, because it's like, was it his voiceover, Dushik's talking, or is it the man? It kind of sounds like the man that's the musician. Is that just me?
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit of like a somber little intro, and sound little like it seems a little bit like moody when we first walk into this one.
About regrets and stuff, and it's showing all the different people in the town, and then you're kind of seeing what life they could have had maybe, or a decision they could have made, or whatever. And you're seeing everybody like this, and then it's like, maybe it was like, oh, it went a little deep there, and I was like, what was Dushik supposed to do? Like maybe he was supposed to be like a city person, and he chose this, right? It seems like he did. So
exactly. So it's like setting us up for a little bit more introspection, I think. And it was like not what you were expecting stepping into episode 2, but it was like a nice little surprise.
Yeah. It started it off. I wonder, we'll see, I guess, if they continue the episodes like it, but I didn't mind it as a intro to easing you into the drama again.
Yeah, nice little precursor to the episode.
Yeah, and it's like, it's interesting with her. It's like the little bit of a reverse effect for her in a sense of that, like, she's leaving the life that probably a lot of other people are like dreaming about, and she's doing like the reverse thing, and so she's taking a big risk right now. So it's like, is that really gonna pay off for her or not, right?
I know, it's like a little bit first impressions and what we think of people was like theme of episode 1, and like you said, this theme seems to be a little bit of regrets and choices we make and how it shapes our lives. So it's like a little bit of a cool thing going on.
Yeah, now to connect the dots afterwards, it does definitely. It's like, I feel like us talking about this now makes me appreciate the effort put into these stories a little bit more than I would watching it, because I feel like I never would have picked up on that immediately by myself.
Exactly. So this is another reason why, folks, that we're enjoying this little series that we're doing called Drama Club, because it's giving us an opportunity that we wouldn't normally take to really like dig in to these shows and do some like Steph said, appreciate the little small details that we may have little glossed over before. So
all right, so she's coming to the small town officially, and she's moving in.
And this is a scene that I really enjoyed. So Hee-jin's moving in. She said goodbye to her best friend in the city, who was very upset that she just decided to move without telling her until the last minute.
I'm not a fan of this friend, to be honest. I'm like,
really?
I don't know. So far she has to add more value to me, but usually I like the best friend. I haven't liked her so far, but we'll see.
Exactly. We'll give her some time to warm up. But yeah. So far our Hee-jin's moving to the town, and of course, so new person comes into a small town, a small close-knit neighborhood. They're gonna draw some attention. So everybody gathers around and says, "Ooh, who's the new person?"
Yeah. It's over the fence.
Here's the wall, and everybody's like,
pretty much.
checking the new girl out.
I forgot to mention too, they had a whole scene about her not knowing who the real estate agent was, and then dramatic entrance for Dushik again. Like every scene they introduce him when he hasn't been on the screen for a little while is super dramatic and cinematic. And I'm all for it. But it's just really funny because it's like, it's gonna be him kind of going into it, and then it's like
oh gosh.
Yeah, so then he's helping her out here, and like very sweet too, because she comes into the place and like she didn't like any of the real estate he showed her, but it's like obviously
exactly,
like that's it, but he like made it all nice for her. Sweet.
My favorite thing was the wallet drop. So Hee-jin's like, well, who's gonna do the renovations? Like, and he's like, me. And she's like, as if. And he's like, check out my licenses. It's like, dude, how can you do everything? Like literally everything. Like a plumber's license. He's like, he is set.
He is the man. That's what he said, the man.
He is the man. He's like with each development of his character, he is becoming even more so the man.
I don't know. I looked over at my husband when this was happening, and I was like, you got some work to do. We laughed. And then he's like, yes, the three chicks are like that. So he seems to think that's the charm. But yeah, so I thought that was a cute little thing. And then what else happened there? Oh, he's like settling her into her house, and then he puts his birthday as her lock number on
oh my god, that's so funny.
And so it's like she's so offended by it in a weird way. I'm like,
she's like, your birthday? And he's like, she's like, okay, let me write this down. And it's like, what's the number? And he's like, my birthday. And she's like, you.
I don't know. I like their contrast in personality because he really just like brings her to reality and is like, okay.
But then she's like, after a while, she's like, oh, take back the paper. I don't even want the paper. And he's like, well, you're gonna need that to change the code. She's like, oh, yeah. And then she's looking at it and she's like, oh, you're a year older than me. You're Oppa. And he's like, is that affection in your tone? Oh, so the little interaction and play-by-play between the two of them is really cute so far.
All right. And then I think we wanted to talk about too, like our thoughts on this. So like, would we ourselves do this, right? Like she just threw everything out the window of her old place and just picked up everything and moved to a small town. Like figure it out.
I think we have all had that fantasy.
I was gonna say I fantasize about this such thing.
Exactly. Not just like even a small town or a whole other country.
Yeah.
A whole other, like let's let's just drop everything and go travel the world. Let's go teach English in another country or something like that. And those fantasies really like are strong in our 20s. But as we get older and we start getting settled, those become further and further away.
Not for me.
Not for you. They're still there. They're still strong.
Well, because for me, it's less about, I guess, going to another country or anything, but the idea of like watching this and fantasizing about a simpler life.
Yeah.
I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to just do, like, she's not doing a different, so I guess it's different in the sense that she's not doing a different job, but it just makes me in my head think about life decisions and whatever, and it's like it relates a little bit to what's kind of gone on right now with COVID, right? A lot of people did lose their jobs, just like she lost her job, right? And it's like that pinnacle moment that you change your life, or you might decide to change your life, and it's like how I've never had that moment that I could do something like that. So it's like, it's kind of a fantasy that like, oh, if I started over, would I do something different? I don't know.
I know. In the last year, a lot of people were forced into that kind of situation to try and struggle with their current career, or just like flip it around and try something completely new and different. In my situation, like my job security was pretty much set in that the company I was doing was an essential business, so we didn't have to close. And my job in particular was kind of an essential to the running of the business, so I didn't have to worry about being laid off, thank God. So I didn't have that kind of like reset opportunity in this last year. But like Steph said, like everybody kind of wonders, like, what if I just drop? Because like I have a pretty established career myself, and I'm in a place where I'm pretty like, I've had to work hard to get to. So when I think about, but everybody has those moments, when those stressful moments, like, what if I just like quit and move to a small town and work at a coffee shop somewhere?
Right. I'm like, maybe that could be a fun, simple life and whatever. But then I think about it and I realize what I'm watching something right now that's idealizing it a lot and romanticizing it. And so my brain's probably doing the same thing. So it always looks greener on the other side. And
it does.
Yeah, it might not be as amazing as I think it is. But I mean, it's always good to have these thoughts.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Think about it, because I don't know, sometimes maybe you do need that change to truly be happy or whatever else, or like, yeah, like this has changed a lot of people's lives the past year or so. So kind of interesting that we could like make that correlation to something going on right now. I don't think they plan that intentionally, but it's just kind of
exactly
how that happens.
It's a really interesting comparison, that it's like, this is kind of like a situation that so many people are in. Exactly. Yeah, like, and like not only that, but she's going from the security of being an employee and having a steady salary to opening her own business and taking on all those kinds of financial risks. Yeah. So you have to hand it, like, this character has some guts to make that decision, and like just at the drop of a hat, it feels like. So you have to, it's the bravery and the courage going on there, and I'm sure there's a lot of fear underneath it all. Like, she's like, oh my God, what have I done? Totally. But I think that's says something about her character, that she was strong enough to take that kind of risk.
Totally. And so after this point, so she's moved in, she's getting settled, and then I believe it's like one of the neighborhood women tells her about, there's like an event coming up.
There's a celebration for the elders. Bit of a get together with the town and the neighborhood, and this is like the perfect. You should come. It's the perfect opportunity to advertise your practice. That's your opening. And like Heijin is like, marketing. This is purely for marketing.
Which I'm like, what do you have against the old people?
I know, they're cute old ladies.
Like, chill out. I don't know. She's doing her weird social anxiety thing again, which seems for old people a lot.
I know. I think Hadrian has like you said, social anxiety. I think is a perfect description for this because she just doesn't know how to interact with
Yeah.
people very like easily.
Mhm.
She seems to struggle a little bit with that in just small talk and conversation, and she doesn't want, it's like she's trying to keep her distance from people without really getting too close to them.
Yeah. I guess
So
well, now that I think about it in retrospective, maybe it does make a little sense. Like with what happened to her mom, maybe.
maybe, yeah, that has something sort of like, we're going to get more into that maybe in later episodes, hopefully,
Yeah, it doesn't
because
go that deep yet, but now that I'm like just thinking about what had happened to her and why she might be that way, maybe.
maybe, exactly. And I
Maybe that's
think,
the elderly thing. I don't know.
no, I don't know, because it sort of leads us into like, sort of like what causes a bit of a situation
Mhm.
at this gathering because because she's a little bit standoffish, a little guarded, she leaves a bit of not the best impression
No.
with her
She's so
neighbors,
kind of
eh?
cold.
She's
Like,
and she says some like pretty harsh
I
things
know, I'm
without,
like, girl, like you're
you
rude,
know, it's
right?
like, do you like read the room? That is not the appropriate thing to say right now.
Well, so okay, like so there's a scene where so the old lady calls her over, the Ajma or whatever, and they're like having food and they're being really nice about it and like really trying to make her feel welcome. Like this is where I like draw the line with the anxiety and the level of like she should know how she's coming off to a certain level because
Exactly.
there's being nervous and anxious, but then there's like also like you're saying the way she says stuff sometimes
Mm.
comes off as quite rude or insulting or whatever, just not the greatest.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so like they had this scene where they're like she's the Ajuma's like digging in there with her fingers and making a something to feed her.
Like a little bit of meat and the kimchi
Yeah,
and wrapping it
kimchi
up
and
with it and
stuff,
trying to feed her.
trying to feed her it. And like of course she is like doesn't want to. And she generally is trying to be polite about it and I get it. And then like so there's things like that that I get to a degree too. Would I feel comfortable with a stranger doing that? Maybe not. I probably would have
Yeah.
just did it anyway, but I could get how some people would be really uncomfortable with that kind of thing.
But I think it's also a cultural thing
Mm-hmm.
because in Korean meals, typically it's like you're taking your chopsticks and your shared plate to the plate to your mouth, plate, your mouth. You're feeding people
Yeah,
like with your hands.
or
It's
common.
not, and it's not a uncommon thing. It's like what people do to show affection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to make you feel close and make you feel like family. So I can definitely understand why the older ladies were a bit turned off by Hajin's reaction and her sort of like not wanting to touch it and not wanting to eat it.
Yes.
And but from like a little bit of my perspective, and later on you see a little bit more of this when like Hajin is talking to her friend from back home, and she's like, it's dirty, it's
Yeah.
dusty, and it kind of like triggered something.
Mm-hmm.
Hepatitis is a big thing in
Mm-hmm.
Korea. And it's like transmissible through like food and shared
Stuff.
things like
Yeah.
that, right? Like hand and mouth. And it makes me kind of wonder because she's so sensitive about stuff like that. It
Oh.
makes me wonder if maybe her mother
Oh,
had
maybe.
complications due to hepatitis.
Oh, maybe.
And
That's a good guess.
maybe this like theory is going to
Gonna
be
die.
blown out of the water later on, but like that
Maybe.
kind of popped into my head
Well,
thinking
she's
about that.
about hygienic stuff, right? Like, so that's
Exactly.
part of why I guess in my head I thought she was against it all.
Like
Um,
like especially in like the dental industry, like hygiene is like such a huge thing. So I can understand how it's like that
Although I'm
perspective
like kimchi,
definitely.
she'll kill every germ, probably.
I know all the fermentation in that thing that'll like clean you out, no problem.
Anyway, but that's aside the point. The other thing I was thinking of too is I can't remember if at that point had they seen her go jogging yet.
Yes.
Yeah, so there had been the rumors around because she wore a crop top and tight tights to go running. They're like, "Ooh,"
Scandalized.
and then the scene where they told Dushik about it, as if he's gonna have an issue with her running around in workout clothes, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like that's a problem."
No, but I love it because like they're just like so scandalized and they're getting all gossipy about this and like, oh, you can't believe it, it's just scandalous, and she was running around like that with her belly button exposed, for goodness sake. And he's like, well, he's trying to be like, oh, it's
like,
not,
it's fashion. Yeah.
it's workout clothes, it's not so bad. And they are just completely flabbergasted that he would say something to defend her. And then they're just like silent and stone-faced at him, and he's just like
goes back to change the subject. He's very cute. I love
hey that. Let me slice some more soap for you.
Yeah. Again, and then he's doing something else again for them, like again another job.
No, exactly. So like this kind of that, like, everybody's sort of like misunderstanding each other, I think.
Yeah, and that guy from the cafe comes up and starts talking to Heijin, and so this is the part that I think made me not like her as a character, because he's like talking to her and he's like a warm guy and he's like just trying and okay, like maybe he's a little annoying or whatever, but she like her eye contact, she didn't even look at him in the face while he was talking. Like she's just not
exactly not.
I was like, that's rude.
Yes, way she reacted, like I can understand it because she's getting the vibes that he's trying to flirt with her.
Maybe.
And she's like, totally, I'm not
get that, but yeah. I guess
so I can understand her being like, you know, I'm gonna cut this off. I don't want him to think that I'm interested in him and like have that go any further. Like, I'm not, like, stop flirting with me, dude. But she's coming from that perspective. But you're right. She's just like, and he's just a bit of a puppy and like, oh, do you know who I am? Like, you've heard my music before, haven't you?
Yeah.
And he's like, he's trying to hold on to that little bit of like, maybe somebody remembers me.
Well, that's where I was like, did she say in her head that she thought he was hitting on her?
But like her body language just like
I guess
screams
I did,
to me.
But I was like, I totally didn't get that vibe from him when he approached her. So I was like, I don't know. To me, it's like that's where I felt like it was rude, because I felt like it was genuinely innocent. But so her disconnection, it just, well, it went on for a long enough period too that it's like, okay, if you're just not gonna like just say you're not, or you're gonna whatever, and then she just abruptly gets up and she's gonna go do whatever she wants to do. So she's like clearly, oh, she had also too, before I feel like that happened, didn't she like insult the whole table pretty much? Yeah, so she met a bunch of new people,
my god,
right?
Yeah, so like our friend, the restaurant owner, and who happens also to be her landlady, came over. There's the couple, the husband and wife. The wife runs the convenience store, the husband runs the hardware store. Mm-hmm. So they all came to say hi because they're like, this is our new neighbor. We're going to be friendly and we're going to welcome her to the town. It's very excited. We're going to have a dentist. It's all great. And they're like, oh, you came to the store, but you didn't buy anything. And the landlady is, oh, you just tell me if you think anything's wrong. You just let me know if you need anything fixed. And Heijin took that a little too much to heart and like started like very blunt. Like, you like, I have to admit, I'm with you when like how she expressed herself in these scenes did not win her any points for me. No, and just how
I was like, I feel like you could have had more tact than that.
Yeah, it came off very much like your little town and your little town standards are far too low for my soul city like requirements.
Well, it just blew my mind because it's like you want these people to like you because you need business.
Yeah, you think you would be a little kinder, a little more generous.
Like, not that you need to go above and beyond, but just don't respond in the way that she responded.
I know.
Like
What was that? What is it? The lady that runs the convenience store. She's like, "Oh, you came to the store, but you didn't buy anything." And she's like, "Oh, well, I was looking for a shampoo, and there's one very like designer brand, and you wouldn't have it here in the countryside."
Yeah, that kind of thing.
And and it's like, okay, so you could have worded that a lot better.
Yeah. Well,
And
or even that poor lady with the restaurant, and then like she says like, can you not fry your fish this way because it smells too much or something like that.
it's very offending to my nasals, sinuses, the odor. And it's just like, oh my gosh, girl. Like we need some like, I don't know, like some
But
training.
you tell people that after you've known them for a while, not when you're first engaging with them.
It's like, yeah, somebody was not really considering how other people would take it, and like being able to emphasize with other people and come think about how your words are going to be interpreted.
Yeah. And like, so that's, I guess, why I felt so off, because all those people left. And then the one guy still was nice to her, even though she was like always kind of like not the nicest to him anyway. And
She's
so
like
I was like, it was
brick
like,
wall.
yeah, like, okay. And then so then she gets up and leaves, and then she goes into where she thinks she's a private room, right? To have a phone call with her friend to basically just dish on all the people in town and how she hates it so far, kind of. And she's on a microphone, and
Yes.
everybody out the party can hear her.
The town, I guess, intercom sound system was left on when Hei-jin walked into the office. And so her opinions of everyone gets broadcasted on the loudspeaker outside.
As if her words weren't honest enough. Here's some more for you. But that poor guy, oh my god. Man's like, it's just like my heart. I was like,
I know our cafe owner musician, just like he had his like
crushed.
self-confidence crushed.
Well, and I didn't even think about it. They had a bit of a thing with him a little afterwards, and like, because obviously she comes out and she has to face the fact that everybody heard her, and clearly they're all upset about it. And him in particular was just more emotional. But like earlier in the like episode 1, you see he had a daughter, and there's no wife around or whatever. And so then he says to Dushik later, he's like, I was just grateful my daughter wasn't there to hear that.
I know.
I was like,
I know.
Because it's like he wants to make it's like part of like he probably just wants to make his daughter really proud, and like and you see him holding his own, like he did another album and never really went through with it, or something happened with it. So it's like he's harboring it for different reasons, because maybe, well, it's like the whole regret thing. Like, did he chase his real dream or not, and how his life changed. And so so then I was like, that's where I was like, triply not very tactful, because that she knew he had a daughter too, and she could have very well been there. It's just not that she knew she was on microphone, but
so Hei-jin did not leave a great impression, and understandably so. The town just thinks she's like a big bitch.
But she doesn't apologize either. Like, that's where I was like, she didn't come out and be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, or
well, I can understand if you get caught in that sort of situation, like you go into like defense mode, and you're kind of like embarrassed by the whole thing.
I would have been just like apologizing through my teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't. I don't know. It would mortify me too much that even happened. But that's me. I'm gonna hold her at a different standard just because it's my opinion. But yeah, I would wish she would have come off more, I guess, humble about, like, you know what I mean? It's just like kind of like, well, I said it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm getting the vibes that she's feeling a little bit defensive and judged and like intruded upon, because she's just not used to so many people being curious about her and being like up in her business, and that's a small town.
Yeah.
If you live in a small town, everybody knows everybody, everybody's interconnected with everybody, everybody knows everybody's business, everybody knows what everybody had for lunch. So I can understand being like, we're being from the city and being like, I hardly even like know my next door neighbors. And you don't even say hi to people in the hallway, to going into a town where everybody's like super chatty and up in your business, and it being a bit of a shock to the system and not knowing how to handle that.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, I realize I'm being a bit hard on her too, but then I'm like, if she was the perfect whatever, then we wouldn't have a story to talk about here or anything. But another thing I found interesting about this too is usually in K-dramas, it's the guy that's the colder one. And she's the colder one in this one. So it's like a reverse situation here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, who's the one that had, like, I actually realized that a lot. A lot of the time, the female is like the one that you're like kind of like, oh, rooting for, and they have the story that maybe they're struggling for some reason. But
yeah, they're the poor
flaws the same way.
Yeah, they're usually the poor, hardworking, down on the luck, and it's like the rich guy that comes and swoops in and sweeps them off their feet.
Like, I like
a little bit of juxtaposition in terms of that, but our fumbling Heijin in terms of like dealing with people, she definitely needs to be rescued from that.
I'm like hoping it's gonna turn around, and so at this point,
here comes the knight in shining armor, whether she wants him or not.
Yes.
Doshik is coming in and he's going to be like, I'm going to help you get your act together.
Pretty much. Well, and so I like the scene where, so we have the friend I don't like very much ends up coming to live with her, I guess, right? Like
the boyfriend, her boyfriend cheats on her and she comes to help her with the new practice.
Yeah. And then there's like this scene where they're I think it's the next day, maybe, I'm not sure, but they're like cleaning up the town and they're like snoring in the house and they're not.
I think her practice opening happened before that.
Okay. Did it?
Yeah, because she opened the practice and nobody would
one would come because it was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's talking smack about the new dentist because she's a big jerk. And she looks down on everybody in the small town. So nobody's coming. And she's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And our hero comes in and he's like, did you even hand out rice cakes, for goodness sake?
I feel like, no, that happened after, because she made the impression of not helping.
I know, but people came in to ask her to help clean after the town meeting, and like nobody was talking to her before the town meeting. So, and he got everybody to forgive her at the town meeting. So he tried to help her out. So she did some half-hearted passing out of rice cakes, and everybody's just like, just leave it on the table. And she's like, well, that didn't work. And he's like, well, no, duh, it didn't work because you had no sincerity.
Well, I couldn't imagine when you're doing something like that, it would help.
No, exactly. Especially after the big, like, what she said, right? So people are not going to forgive her very easily. So he comes in, our knight in shining armor, who Mr. Fix-It comes in, and he's going to help her fix this situation too. So he takes her and he's like, you're going to come with me. You're going to come to the town meeting. And she's like, but I'm not going in by myself. And he's like, yes, you are. Just go. So she awkwardly enters the town meeting, the neighborhood meeting, and she's just like, everybody's like, what the heck are you doing here? And she's just like, I really don't know what I'm doing here. So it's like awkward upon nobody wants to interact. But Dushik comes in with like, oh, Heijin wanted to apologize to you all, so she got all these snacks for you.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, he managed to get everybody to sort of like begrudgingly sort of let her back in, at least talk to her again.
Mm-hmm.
So she came in, sort of peace offering, and they're like, okay, we might give you another chance. And then they decide they're going, like, they're reminding everybody Saturday is when we clean up the town. And
Right.
then they came to get her to participate.
See, this is where I'm getting mixed up because for some reason I thought that was afterwards because I was like, nope, I didn't realize she like ruined it basically 2 times in a row.
She did.
Like so dumb. Like that's where I was like, this is where I got, it was probably because I was infuriated about this that it stuck in my head. But
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
like sleeping and I was like, so you agree to help out with some half-heartedly agree, like, yeah, sure. And then it's like they had to knock on her door and whatever. And
Yeah,
she's kind of
like it's already 9 o'clock. We were
like
supposed to
making
meet
up some,
already.
yeah. And she's like, oh, can I just help out next time? And it just made me so mad. And the lady's
I
like, I
know.
guess so. But then he comes back and he is like, calls her out on her shit. And is
Exactly.
like,
He's like, you just ruined everything I tried to do to help you fix this.
Yeah. And like, so when she like claimed being sick, the fact he pulled out a thermometer out of his bag, I was like, what the hell?
Let's actually, your temperature is lower than average.
Yeah, like you go, please.
Get your ass out of, get your ass some clothes on and come out and help us clean.
Yes. Which I was like, you know what? Yeah. I feel like
She needed
again,
that.
bad,
A little bit of,
bad on her to not do something.
I know, like you were just sort of like fixing the situation and then you go stick your foot in it again. Like, what are you doing?
Well, and also on the rice cake thing that I didn't like either is he helped her do that and then she got irritated when he wanted the money from her for it.
That was for the snacks.
He expected, so she was happy about it until she had to pay him for it, and then she's like, "Well, I didn't want you to do," like as if he's gonna take it back. And I'm like, "Girl, like this is just all just like rubbing me the wrong way."
I know she's our girl needs to get. She like the social interaction skills are a little rusty.
No, and I'm like, it's just interesting. I mean, maybe it's good because it's different. We don't usually have this kind of situation. Usually they are just like maybe a little awkward around the people, but then they're very welcoming and it all just kind of goes okay. So I guess it's refreshing that it's not that same scenario over
Exactly.
and over again. I don't know.
But it's kind of funny because we're getting these little moments, these little small scenes that like give us a little on the inside and like hidden things about both our main characters' personalities right now. So everybody in the town thinks Haejin's all stuck up and soulite and total like looking down on everybody around her. But when she's talking with her friend's like, oh, how many charities are you going to donate to? Like, you're trying to run a business and you have no money. What are you doing? And like her wanting to help the kids out earlier and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot more to Haejin than just what she's putting out there right now. And I really hope people get a chance to see that and like she can redeem herself a little bit more. And a little bit about Do-shuk is like, there was a scene where the Ajumas were around. And I think it was when they were talking about Haejin running in her scandalous outfit. But Do-shuk had a really nice suit that he had out on his porch. And the lady's like, oh, what are you doing with this nice suit? Why are you throwing it away? And he's like, oh, I don't need it anymore, kind of thing. And it's just like, what was his, like, was he not always in this town? Like, he is like, like, he seems so ingrained in like the fabric of this town and everything. You think he would have been there his whole life.
I wonder if he like left and came back, or
yeah, like maybe he had a fancy job in the city kind of thing and he came back because of some kind of situation that drew him back home.
You know what my theory is? Photographer. because
Maybe.
he took photos at the event and he said he was just doing it just cause it wasn't like a paid thing. And then, I mean, it's jumping forward a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but I think it relates to his past too. The photography.
Yes, because there's a maybe. I think that's a really good idea because not just like
Well,
maybe
the suit might be a little extra. I don't know.
Well, maybe like he had to wear a suit if he was like a photographer for weddings or something.
Or maybe
like
he was
that.
interviewing.
Maybe exactly. Maybe he was trying to get a big fancy job in the city, but had to get pulled back and come home sooner than he wanted to. Mm-hmm. Because when you see we get a little bit of some shots, some scenes of him in his home, mm-hmm. and he has like an extensive book collection.
Yes, I was like, and he reads.
And he reads.
Check. Another thing.
Check.
Like best man ever.
I know, exactly. If any positive trait or habit or interest there is, I think our man has it.
Yeah, really much. Goodness.
So it's just like these little tiny snippets of like their personalities that not everybody gets to see right away gives me kind of like hope that somehow like those little bits are going to be revealed about themselves and just get people to realize that they're actually good people. Yeah. And it's just like sort of like that first impression, those first interactions you have with people, everybody makes assumptions. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more going on underneath those first assumptions, those first appearances, and not everybody's willing to take a look at, I think. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of like a bleed in from the theme of episode 1. Mm-hmm. And it sort of like carries on, and sort of like the regret theme of episode 2 is really highlighted because we make some dumbass.
It's true. She moves. Must regret what she said. She had to regret.
Oh God! If she does, like the fact that no patients would come into her new practice would probably be a huge regret for some of the things she said.
That's where I'm like, so dumb. Come on. So then, so she's struggling, obviously. But then one day, some people do trickle in, and all of a sudden, now she's got patients. And
that was our hero again. Yeah, I think there was this great scene of him helping out at the coffee shop again, and he gets a phone call saying, "Oh, I went to the dentist like you recommended, and she's actually like really good, and her prices were reasonable." And it was like, "I'm glad I went. I'm glad you recommended that." And he's just helping
out the guy make better coffee too.
I know, he's teaching you how to make better coffee.
Can he get better? I don't know.
Killing me. This guy is pretty damn awesome. I don't know what to do about this.
I was gonna say, usually there's like something about the male lead. They're like, yeah, he's not that desirable, but Jesus, like this guy is like the be all end all of bachelors here. So then I guess she's getting these people, and then she figures out eventually that clearly it must be he did something, and then so she has a moment finally of some sort of clarity, and she runs into the singer guy that we were talking, the cafe guy. Yeah, apologizes to him properly, and they're all good. Yeah. Which are like, thank goodness.
She's like, I did listen to the album you gave me.
Right, that's right. That was a little sweet moment too. And she's like, she called it a B-side from it, even to make him feel it. So I was like, okay, that mended my heart a little more, and I'm like, okay, she does have a heart. I feel better. I was pretty irritated before that. So I
was just like, what did she do? So she's redeeming herself a little bit.
Thank goodness.
I know. So, and she realizes like, okay, I think I need to properly thank this guy that's been helping me out.
Clearly, you know what? She hasn't really thanked him truly, right? Like at this
point,
I'm like, yeah, girl, you really do owe him like a ton. More than money.
Exactly. So we end episode 2 with this great, very drama land moment where he's
on the beach.
He's sitting up having his like alone
again, facing the ocean. sitting there reading or whatever he's doing.
Like I thought there was a fishing pole. There may not have been a fishing
he's
pole.
Supposed to be fishing. I think
he's supposed to be fishing, but she comes up and she's again in inappropriate shoe choices.
Always.
So we had this like lovely moment where he comes down to help her up so they can have like a nice talk and she can say what she wants to say, what she came to say to him.
Because he can't hear her, apparently.
He can't hear you from the top. But it's just like this great sort of scene. And of course, we have our epic drama land where she stumbles and he catches her in his arms.
I know. I was like before it happens, I'm like, she's gonna fall. She's gonna
fall, and he's gonna catch her.
Guaranteed. Yeah, K-drama magic moments.
Yeah, so those are the kind of predictable moments that we just love because they make Korean dramas.
Well, and then it's like they're falling in love. It's like it's
this is fate, ladies and gentlemen.
So that was like kind of an interesting thing. And then they had, again, the after scenes a little bit. And then so we start to learn that they interacted as children, right?
Yeah, they always, like, there's always some kind of like, they had some interaction in the past. And the photo that made her think to come to this town to relive happy memories on her mom's birthday was a photo that our friend Doshik, as a child, him and his grandpa took for them.
Yeah. And then you see later that it's the photo for there's like a photo studio there or something. So I feel like it was the grandfather's like hobby. That's why I have this whole photography thing in my head, because it seems to be a theme somehow. So I feel like that must be his job or something that he considered doing.
Yeah, it's like a more career away from home kind of thing. So it's so we come like, I'm really liking these little like flashbacks at the end.
Yeah,
really, like different perspectives. Yeah, so it's fun, this fun little endings of the episodes, and I hope they continue that in future ones, because I think that adds a nice little flavor to things.
It's like the second time they did it, so I have a feeling it's a trend enough that they should do it every episode. All right, 2 episodes in, feeling good so far. We had
still feeling good.
Romantic moment at the end there, always waiting for when that's gonna happen. Doesn't feel too soon. Doesn't feel like too much is happening yet, but it's like the starts of something good, right?
Exactly. We're getting little seedlings, little sprouts of storylines that are coming up.
Yes.
So.
And I don't know, and then seeing they give you a little preview usually of the next episode and whatever. And so it doesn't seem like it turns into much right away from what I'm gathering. And maybe he ends up being a bit more closed off in the romantic part there. Is that just me?
I'm getting, from the preview, I'm getting that she gets an opportunity to share a little bit more of who she really is with her new neighbors. Mm-hmm. And I think he seems a little more closed off. Maybe those are just like how the trailer into episode 3 started it, right?
To be that way at all.
But he seems awfully protective of our Ajima, that I think is very much his grandmother. But
that he carried on his back. We didn't talk as much about that. That was a really cute scene too, where she hurt her leg and then he carried her, and their little chatter back and forth was so adorable and charming.
I know, exactly. So I think those kind of relationships, those little side character and like side relationships and interactions are like such a big part of what makes a drama worth watching, I think. And I think we're going to get...
If you know what, and now I think about it, I don't think she's his grandma, but I think his grandpa passed and she just had taken care of him.
Maybe.
After that. And so it's kind of like they're relatives, but not really. But she was the one that just like kind of raised him, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too. I'm getting very much that maternal vibe from her.
Super cute. But I don't know. I'm loving this series so far.
I think, it's definitely worth... I'm voting to keep
continues.
going for a bit longer to see how it goes.
Yeah, like I mean, it could surprise us. It could be too like predictable and whatever, but I'm liking the flavors of the characters. I'm liking that I'm not loving the leads to death like immediately or expect like I feel like I can see that they're going to have challenges that seem realistic and not unrealistic random things. Like I'm not foreseeing anyone going into a coma or moving to another country just to separate them somehow. Like I feel
exactly.
like it seems like real life struggles here and situations. So I like that.
Yeah, real human characters with
Yeah.
realistic flaws that
Yeah.
they get in their own way, and it just makes things a little more relatable.
The other thing I wanted to note that I thought was interesting is there's been no presence of the stereotypical second male lead yet. And I feel like there probably is one, but we still haven't seen him.
We still haven't seen it. So I'm looking, I want to see who pops up for that.
Right?
Because
my husband thought it was the first guy that came to the dentist, and I was like, no, Richard.
No.
No.
He's cute. He's cute, but I don't like, know.
No. It's like you just know, because it's like it's got to have that almost like what they call that traditional meet cute kind of Hollywood thing to it, where exactly. It's like they have a pretty specific moment that you just really know it's that person. And well, it's got to be someone just as charming and addictive as the male lead, because usually that's what we call the male lead syndrome there, or second male lead syndrome.
Exactly.
Which I had with this guy in another drama. So
the second lead needs to be just as charming, or like a little less charming than our lead.
Better at being more charming.
I don't know if it's just competition,
right?
It's sometimes fierce.
It's like, because I feel like back in the day, the dramas with the second male lead, you're like, okay, well, yeah. I say that, but my number one, Young Ha, was like the ultimate second male lead for me ever, because he was my first ever actor I just absolutely loved to bits. And then he got a whole, well, the best thing is that the second male leads get to go and move on and do these dramas, just like this situation.
Exactly.
So it's like a win-win.
I know they get to turn into the leads eventually.
Exactly. So it is a win-win. So it's like, I'm always really happy when they are good and you love them, because you know then they'll move on to a project after that. That'll be awesome. And you'll get to experience them in a different way. And in the ways you've been waiting for. Like, I feel like this is like the brilliant ideas of whoever creates these K-dramas. Like, they create this formula that's like gonna make us want to see them somewhere else. So, like, someone's planning this. It can't be just my mistake.
It's like entertainment cocaine or something. We're just so addicted.
It is. So yeah.
Oh, another
interesting. We'll see.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So I'm very excited to see what pops up there. But another little tidbit that I noticed, there is the OST, that the one that keeps popping up. I was like, I know that voice. I know that voice. And y'all, it's Car in the garden singing the OST. And I am such a big fan of him. So it's just like, last one we had Sam Kim. Now we got Car in the garden. And I'm just like, the music. Thank you. We're so lucky with the music.
Yep. Richard was actually singing along to it by the end, cool. Which is funny. Which I'm like, he feels like totally when you first get into K-dramas, and then sometimes they have, like, I feel like K-drama OSTs have gone a long way too.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they can be extremely cheesy, but other times they're really good. But I think part of what makes it cheesy too is like when you hear it really repeating over and over and over again at certain
slightly inappropriate situations too.
Well, it helps you determine what type of scene it is based on the song.
Exactly.
So you know, you're like, oh, something's gonna happen now because I'm hearing this song. And so yeah, this song was kind of like cute. I actually could have seen Standing Egg as an option for this OST as well. They were kind of giving me that vibe. also.
Yeah, well, you know, it would be awesome if they have a song in there too.
We could, like, I haven't looked at it, so I should look at it and I can get back to us here. But I feel like it's a very similar vibe.
Yeah, that same vibe would fit in very well, I think, with
Mhm.
this show. That would
So,
totally.
yeah, I don't know. Can't go wrong with, like, I do love myself some soundtracks and OSTs, and download those and adding those to my playlist as well. So this was, yeah, it's definitely a little bit fun, carefree. I don't know. It's nice. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll put it on while I'm fantasizing about my small town life that I might have one day.
Totally.
One day, maybe when I retire, maybe that'll be my
Exactly.
retirement plan.
Exactly. This is retirement goals. We're going to like
Right?
retire
It
to
would
like a
be.
little lake town.
Yes. Okay, I like this plan. Let's do it together.
Funny thing is, that's what my parents did 2 years ago.
See? It's what is possible. A little less, not like this beautiful town in Korea.
Yes, a
Not,
little
not as
less.
blue waters and all that jazz. But we can pretend.
We can pretend.
Well, I think that's all we got today to talk about this episode. We're really excited about this drama and excited to share our thoughts with you. And I want to hear from you guys. I think Lisa does too. Always, we'll
Exactly.
say, just a like makes a world of difference to us. But what makes even more of a difference is if you comment on this video and let us know what you think of this drama. Are you excited for this drama? Are you like gonna drop it because it's not your thing? Like anything. I just want to know. Do you love Dushik as much as we do?
Exactly. Because, like, who doesn't like a guy that looks smexy when he's got the serious face on, but has like a really charming, goofy smile?
Exactly. So please, please like and share and comment and all those kinds of great things for us because that keeps us doing what we love doing. And we're going to do it anyway, but it would just make our day if you did that anyway.
Exactly. Heart, we love you. We'd love you even more if you liked us.
Exactly. And so I'll leave it at that, and we will see you next week to talk about the next episode. All right. Bye.
Bye.